Here we go. What's good, everybody? Thank you all so much for clicking on the video. I really appreciate it. We are here today to talk about Traitors, Season 4, Episode 4. And the name of the episode is called Cut the Head Off the Snake. Whew! Okay. I feel like that this is going to be a lot. I said, as I was writing it down, as I was writing my notes down, I was thinking like this is a lot. And it's the reason why last week I kind of did like a quick recap of it. I like to do really detailed reviews. Not really detailed, but I just feel like that with Traitors, it's kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone because it's a game show and there's a whole lot of moving parts, right? So I won't be able to cover everything, but I can tell by my notes. It's going to be a lot. It's too much, but I will try to talk about the most important parts of the show. And I'm not going to try to make this heavy, although at times this can be very triggering. Okay. So again, we're here to talk about Traitors Season 4, Episode 4, and Cut the Head Off the Snake. I started watching Traitors last season. So last season, Season 3 was my first season watching Traitors. And so I didn't even really I talked about it like on some of the lives and stuff that I did. And now everybody is thinking that I will be good for Traitors. And my mom is actually trying to sign me up for Traitors, which is actually funny. She is really trying to convince me to go on this show. But I really love the show. I think that the beauty of Traitors is that technically it's a game, right? But as viewers, it feels like we're watching a social experiment revealing the biases that many of us carry. The constant accusation or accusatory nature of the show is great because it exposes how people are judged in the real world and who is quickly deemed guilty based on simple mistakes and missteps and who is allowed grace. First things first. Episode 4 started with a recap of Episode 3, and they said that Colton led the charge to get Donna out the house. That is a flat-out lie. Colton did not lead no charge to get Donna out of the house. Candace and Natalie was the first people to bring up Donna's name at the round table. They actually did it at the first round table. They gave reasons on why they thought that she was a traitor, and they both voted for her at both round tables. Colton did not. He actually was the final vote of the first round table, and he sent Portia home the first night.
Like what?
That's the reason why.
He sent Portia home the first night because Portia and Donna had the same amount of votes. Colton was the last vote. Colton's vote sent Portia home. So let's be clear. Colton did not lead the charge against Donna. That is a complete lie, feeding into a white savior narrative that erases the real heroes. It was two women of color who took the lead and made that happen. And that was Candace and Natalie.
Point blank, period.
Now, it's 5 players up for murder, okay? Including Lisa, who is a traitor. So it's really 4. And those 4 are Eric, Caroline, Kristen, and Ron. Now, this murder is supposed to happen face-to-face, but all of them are blindfolded and tied to a tree. I can't believe that Ron let the people tie him to a tree. Baby, they would never. As a black man in America, I don't give a damn if they in Scotland. They are never tying me to no tree for no game.
Bitch, who? Who?
And it is what it is. I'm sorry. Okay? But the people who are up for murder, they are pleading their cases as to why they shouldn't be murdered. But we don't actually see who actually get killed. So the next scene, we're at breakfast the next morning. And Monet decides to do what has been done in past seasons and test the people who are up for murder and to see if their stories match up. And I guess whoever story does match up, they are going to be suspicious of them or think that they're guilty, right? In my opinion, I think that's a flawed plan. Just because a person survives a murder doesn't mean that they're a traitor. It just so happened that Lisa is, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because the last murder, not a traitor wasn't up for it. When they had the murder in plain sight, a traitor wasn't up for it. And I say that because remember, Donna had to send a list out of who to vote for, and none of the traitors was on the list. So again, just because a person survives a murder does not mean that they're a traitor. And you can't really be sure everyone is going to be done the same way or have the same experience, right? This is season 4, so they're going to have to change some things up, and they're going to throw monkey wrenches in. So a henchman mask may be different in one murder than it is from the next one, or they may just have a different color on in general, or they may use different tools to cut the rope off of the tree. You get what I'm saying? So you just can't be too sure. At this point, everything is not going to add up. They're going to have to throw some monkey wrenches in it, and so you should, I guess, take what everybody is saying, take everything that everybody is saying is a grain of salt, and not be so accusatory or be quick to say that someone is lying about their experience. Dorinda is worried that Lisa is going home because she was her partner and she felt like that she let Lisa down. Baby, Lisa failed herself. Because as a fellow housewife or not, one thing that I wouldn't do is tie myself to the bitch that went home first last season.
No way. No way.
I wouldn't. I wonder. Now, I wonder if it makes me wonder if Lisa would have teamed up with Dorinda if she wasn't a traitor. Because I'm telling you, I would not have teamed up with Dorinda. Now, Ron is the first person from the people who were up for murder to come in. And he explains what happened. He said a henchman tied him up to a tree. He had on a black mask and the murder was face to face. So the traitors had to walk around him. And if you're paying attention, as he was talking, Candace was looking down, looking guilty. She was looking guilty as hell because everyone was hanging on to every word that Ron was saying, trying to hear what happened or what his experience was. He said that he was blindfolded, but he felt like it was 3 traitors that was walking around him. Renna comes in. She's the next person who comes in from the people that was up for murder. And she comes in and explains what happened. I was nervous for her because we know since she's a traitor, she wasn't actually tied to a tree. So she didn't experience the same things that the other people that was up for murder experienced. But she really did well in telling her story. Her story kind of added up to Ron's story. Except for she talked about an axe. She added an axe to her story. Ron didn't say anything about an axe, okay? Eric came in. His storyline with Renna and Ron's, the only difference in his story is that he felt like it was 2 traitors, okay? Now, in his confessional, Eric says that he feels like that he has a clue. He heard a laugh and he's not going to say anything. He's going to hold on to it, but he's 99% sure he knows who it is. So there's 2 people left. So we actually see the face-to-face murder and Caroline was murdered, okay? So that means that Kristen from Top Chef was saved and Caroline from The Real Housewives of Dubai was actually murdered, okay? Now, during the murder, Caroline, she was unblindfolded and she said, "Lisa Rinna, you bitch." Because you have to understand, Dorinda and Caroline was shocked because Lisa Rinna had already voted for Portia.
You fucking with the wrong one.
And Candace didn't. So I feel like that she called Lisa Rinna a bitch, like, girl, you did it to Portia and now me. And so Caroline asked Candace why. And Candace said, because you talk too much. Now, I don't think that she talked too much. I think that it would just make perfect sense for a housewife to leave, or it will begin to look suspicious that 2 housewives were saved. Because remember, Lisa Rinna is a traitor, so she's coming back. You get what I'm saying? So one housewife got to go. It got to be Caroline, or people will be suspicious. So Caroline told Renna, "I thought that we bonded." Renna said, "Too bad. Back to Dubai you go." And Caroline said, "I'll see you at BravoCon." Lisa Rinna said, "No, you won't. No, you won't. Renna ain't going to no motherfucking BravoCon." I feel like from what I hear about Renna and what I see with her on social media, that she's kind of beefing with Andy and she's kind of beefing with Bravo. I do. I felt like that Lisa Rinna feels like that she did a lot for the show. And Lisa Rinna really was, I felt like, one of the HBs I see in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I feel like they let Kathy Hilton come in there just because she got a big bank account or because she got a big wallet. And they let her go. Because I believe Lisa Rinna heard everything that she heard in Aspen with Lisa Rinna. I mean, with Kathy Hilton.
I don't give a fuck what y'all saying. I don't give a fuck what y'all saying at all.
But, Andy them went ahead and went with Kathy instead of Lisa, and Lisa ended up leaving the show, or she got fired. We'll never really know. But I feel like from what I've heard with Lisa Rinna, basically I feel like that she left the show and she wasn't going to BravoCon. Okay, so Kristen comes in. Her story was the same. However, she felt like there could have been 4 traitors. So when Kristen was asked about her experience with the traitors, Jam called it a ceremony, and Tiffany found that suspicious. And she said that only a traitor will call it that.
Girl, shut the fuck up.
What? What would a faithful call it? I feel like that, in the game, everybody is overanalyzing everything. I just think that some people will call it a ceremony. I think that it just depends on who watches the show or not, who watched every season or not. I necessarily wouldn't have called it a ceremony, but I can't get upset at anybody else. If I heard somebody else call it a ceremony, I would think that they actually watched the show. They would be like a fanatic. My mom actually watches all of the Traitors from UK, everything. She loves the show. My mom will probably call it a ceremony. You get what I'm saying? Because she watches everything. This is my second season watching. So I wouldn't necessarily think that just because he called it a ceremony that it was suspicious or he was a traitor. I would just think that he was well informed on what's going on. And I need to watch it.
Get that bitch out of here.
Okay. Okay. So breakfast is over and Ron is comparing notes with Eric. He said that he heard some heavy footsteps, but he definitely heard some that were very light. Tiffany is trying to confirm with some people that she thinks that Ron is a traitor. Okay. Steven is saying that Ron is putting on the Feel Sorry For Me act, and Margaret agreed. We are only seeing the edited version of the show, but I don't see Ron putting on the Feel Sorry For Me act. He really hasn't done anything wrong but play the game. He was wrong in his assumption for Portia, but because of that, it seems like that he's being treated like a pariah in the house. And since we're talking about Ron, let me cook for a second. Ron hasn't really done anything wrong but play the game. He hasn't done anything but actually play the game. However, it's hard for me to feel sorry for him, and I don't see him as innocent because he called out Portia, right? Not only to call out Portia, but the way that he did it, in my opinion, he needed to be damn sure because it didn't endear him to the other Black people in the house. When you go into a room, you try to find commonalities in that room, and I feel like that, at least I do. And so I notice the other Black people that are in there. Now, I feel like that him and Monet are the only Black men in the house. And when I say that, I don't mean to be offensive to Monet. I don't know her pronoun. Let me go look him up. Okay, so I just looked him up. So Ron is the only Black man in the house. But I get a sense that Ron is one of the Black people who feel like an outcast among other Blacks. So he doesn't view them as a safe space, right? And he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. I personally would have tried to make friends with the Blacks in the house, you know, tried to make them feel comfortable around me, especially if I was the only Black man in the house. But I mean, and I don't say that in a bad way. I'm just saying, look at how everybody else in the house looks at Rob. You get what I'm saying? Everybody else looks to Rob. Look how Mara looks up to Rob. Every seem like all of the other women in the house look up to Rob and look up to Colton. Also with Ron, I feel like if Portia fucked up or misspoke, why not bring it to her attention and let her know? Like, you know, girl, be careful what you're saying. Did you know that you said that? You know what I'm saying? Did you know that you said that? Or just ask her before the round table, you know, instead of just seeing whatever she is doing or saying as suspicious. I don't know. It's just a sensitive cancer in me. I don't like Ron's experience in the house. All because he got it wrong with Portia. Like the rest of the people didn't have to vote for Portia. You get what I'm saying? Especially since Michael, and this is what is killing me. He led the charge against Portia, but he didn't put a gun up to everybody's head and have them vote for Portia. You get what I'm saying? Especially since Michael did the exact same thing that Ron accused Portia of, right? Most of them didn't hear Portia. Only 2 people heard Portia, and that was Donna and Michael Rappaport. But everyone at the round table heard Michael. And Michael was given the benefit of the doubt, and Portia was still voted out. Baby, that is called being Black in America.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
That is called being Black in America. Everybody at the table heard Michael Rappaport. Only 2 people heard Portia. And they still voted for Portia. They took whatever Ron was saying as the gospel, even above what they had just heard. And no, Michael isn't a traitor either. However, they heard what he said. He misspoke. The same. You get what I'm trying to say. Colton feels like that he led the charge to get Donna out the house.
I must be watching a different show.
I don't know why he did that. You didn't, but go off. He felt like he led the charge and he's hot and he wants to take a big swing at Tiffany. Okay? He said that he feels like that she gave a half-ass, insincere, fake-ass eulogy for Ian. And she thinks that the traitors are Jam, Ron, and Michael. But when he hears her talk, it's not based off of suspicion. It's based off of control. And she was walking through steps on how she wants to play the game.
Come again?
Y'all are all there playing the game. A black woman comes to you and tell you how she wants to play a game and you see it as control? Newsflash, buddy, she can control how she wants to play her game. She does have control in how she wants to play her game. She has control in that. What I think that Colton has a problem is that Tiffany is not coming to him looking to him as a savior. She wasn't coming to him looking to him as a savior. She had a way that she wanted to play the game, and she was actually playing her game with Michael. But he didn't like that Tiffany wasn't coming to him as a savior, or like the girls or some of the girls in the house are coming to Rob and him. He didn't like that. So next they go on a mission. On the way to the mission, everyone is talking about Colton going to come after Tiffany. So at the mission, 18 people at the house. 18 people start off with shields, and there are 10 beasts. The players have to go into the woods, find these hidden spears, and bring it to the fire pit. Now, when you bring the spears into the fire pit, you have to light it and then shout out a player's name and plunge it into the spear and plunge the spear into the stomach of the beast and light it on fire. Now, the player whose name is shouted will lose protection. So there will be 10 people who will be facing murder. Okay. Now, remember, the murder is only done by the traitors. So this have nothing to do with the round table that's going to happen later on. That is called banishment. So they have to pick teams, and while they're picking teams, Monet, Candace, and Eric are standing around, and they're going to team up. And so Candace says we should have at least 4 shield options, meaning people who shields that they was going to take. And Monet says that he's suspicious of Lisa. And then Lisa comes and asks if she can be in that group. Baby, I see why this show is over here winning Emmy, baby. I see why this show is over here winning Emmys, baby. That was poetic, baby. I loved it. Okay, so we're not gonna go through everything that happened. I'm just gonna give you a preview of what happened and who was getting unshielded and what I found interesting or what I thought was the key. Okay, so Ron got unshielded, of course. Don't nobody like Ron, and then Tiffany. Baby Tiffany heard them say her name, and she said, "I hope the fuck they didn't." Now wait a minute, bitch. And so she started running, and as the group was running away from the fire pit, which was Monet, Candace, Eric, and Lisa, Tiffany was running up, and she asked, "You know what I'm saying? Did y'all say my name? Who name did y'all say?" And Monet say, "It's nothing personal." And so Tiffany them have a spirit. They trying to figure out who shield that they gonna take. And Tiffany said, "You could get one of them bitches."
Them bitches.
Right? And so she marches her spear. She marches her spear like, hut, 2, 3, 4, hut. And she says Monet's name. Okay? So we got Monet. We got Michael Rappaport loses his shield. And Michael is running like he's injured or something. Like the way that he runs, he's taking like real small strides. I noticed that. He seems like he's injured. Tara loses her shield. And while they're looking for the other spears, Candace informs Lisa that Monet said her name. Lisa Rhoda say, "What?" She said, "Monet said your name." Candace is tired, baby. Candace is tired. Candace ain't not used to doing all this shit, okay? So we got Steven, Lisa, Mara, Johnny, and Jam Jam. Jam Jam is the last person to lose his shield. And Jam Jam started crying because he feels like he's going to get killed. And so Mara says that he's pretending to cry. And I just think this is so funny. Like, he can't be emotional. Like, how is he pretending? The thing is this. To the gamers, this is their livelihood. Going from game show to game show to try to win money. I really see him wanting and needing that money. It's not a game for some people like it is for some of the housewives, right? For the most part, they're rich, or at least most people think they are. For instance, last season, Zach, one of the brothers, was it Zac Efron's brother? His brother won. One of Princess Diana's cousins or somebody from the royal family won. It was a girl that was on probably The Bachelor or something like that turned lesbian. She won, and Black Dolores won, right? That girl who was on The Bachelor, I can't think of her name right now. And I don't, when I say lesbian, I don't mean to be, I'm a part of the community too. But she really needed that money. She had just got married. She needed that money. Black Dolores didn't need that money. At least I don't think she is. I don't watch New Jersey, but I'm sure that Black Dolores, because they split the money up 4 ways. I'm sure that Black Dolores didn't need that money. But I remember the girl was in the press. I believe her name was Gabby. I remember Gabby was in the press saying that she was still waiting on her check.
I hope I get my check.
She was still waiting on her check. On the way back to the castle, Tiffany tells Mara that Ron took his spear and yelled Mara's name because he thinks that she's a traitor and he wants to see if she wakes up tomorrow. And Mara is pissed. So they make it back to the castle. So now Mara is holding court with some of the men, specifically Rob, and she's trying to rally votes for Ron. Natalie asks Ron to look into her eyes and asks him, is he a faithful or a traitor? And without blinking, he said, I'm a faithful. Very confidently. Well, to me, it seemed confident because I know, right? But the thing is, if you don't know him, how could you tell? Which is why Tiffany asks, Natalie, what is that supposed to do? What is that supposed to do, girl? What are you doing? So Ron says that he's not an always on person. And a person who is not always on is a detriment in the house because people feel like that he's not into it. But he is. But he'll probably be gone before the house believes him. And I definitely understand that. I feel like most of the time when I'm around people or when they meet me, they just think that I'm always on. And for the most part, what y'all get from me, this really is my personality. But I always feel this is my personality and this is how I am 24/7, 365. But I think that when I'm around some people, they're looking at me like, okay, entertain me. You get what I'm saying? I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. This is really who I am. This is who I am 24/7, 365. But I feel like when I get around some people, they just feel like, okay, entertain me. Entertain me. And it can be very frustrating at times. Colton is trying to rally the house against Tiffany in the kitchen. And so Stephen asks him why. And Colton really has no facts. Just suspicions, I guess. And so Candace comes in and she says, don't be closing no doors around here. Don't be closing no doors around here. I love that. I love that. Okay. So Colton leaves the kitchen to go and convince more people. And now Mark is in the kitchen with Candace and Tara. And Mark asks, what was the push? Who were they voting for? And Tara says Tiffany. And so Mark asks Candace if is she in on it? And she says, no, it's not smart. That's how Portia went home. She's still on Ron. And so Stephen says that he doesn't know if Tiffany knows that she's being talked about. Baby, when I tell you I would have ran and tell Tiffany. You remember when on Real Housewives of Atlanta, when Candy and Kenya went into Sheree's basement and Sheree's friend or her cousin was like, bitches in the basement. Bitches in the basement. Baby, I would have went to go tell Tiffany, girl, they're trying to vote you out. They're trying to vote you out. We need to try to do something. We need to try to do something. So now it's time for the round table. I must say, though, with Tiffany, I think that her game plan is flawed. I do think that instead of saying Ron, Jan Jam, and Michael, she should have at least focused on one person at a time, because if someone was trying to follow her theory, she could have confused them on who to vote for, because only one person could be banished at a time. But that doesn't make up. For example, I went to a high school that was predominantly Hispanic. And for some reason, all of the Black girls decided that they were going to try to run for homecoming queen, right? And so we was like, okay. But baby, if we got 10 Black women on a roster and we only got so many Black people at the school, girl, how do you expect to win homecoming queen in Little Mexico? How do you expect to win homecoming queen? Because you think that you just got the Black vote, right? You ain't gave me a cookie. They did give me cookies, I'm just saying. But what I'm saying is, we got 10 Black girls on the ballot. How do you expect to? I think that they should have, again, I feel like they should have got amongst themselves and see who from the Black girls is gonna run, and then try to get the Black vote instead of all 10 of y'all trying to run and splitting up the 10 votes. That's what I think that Tiffany did. You are giving Jam, Michael, and Ron, but you don't really have a clear, concise person on who we're voting for tonight. So only one person could be banished at a time. It could have been some people that wanted to follow you. But, I mean, we can't vote for all three of them. Only one person get banished at a time. Focus on one person. Are we getting Ron tonight? Are we getting Jam tonight? Or are we getting Michael? You get what I'm saying? Hope that makes sense. But, again, just because her plan was flawed does not make her a traitor, okay? So once Alan gives them the floor to talk, Colton was the first one to go. He said, Tiffany, you laid out a strategy, not with suspicion or facts. He said the game changes fast, and he struggled to have one solid name, and she said, "You struggling now, but go ahead, because you're wrong, but I'm listening." I say, okay, I like that. Don't let them get you against no corner. Fight back, okay? Tiffany spoke. She said, "I wouldn't go for a jam. I wouldn't go for a gamer, but Jam Jam would." And so Jam Jam interrupts and say, "I wouldn't. I'm not a traitor." And she says, "I didn't say that you were, and I'm not talking to you right now."
Wait a minute now.
Baby, I get you. I get you, Tiff. I get you, Tiff. But baby, you know, you can't bring my name up and expect me not to respond. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you can't bring Jam Jam name up and not expect him to respond. And so Tiffany says, you know, Ron and Michael have always been on the table, but I wasn't sure about Jam Jam. And she told Jam Jam, now I'm talking to you. And so basically Jam Jam says, you know, I think that you're a traitor. She said, okay, well, write my name down then. Write my motherfucking name down then, okay? Colton really has no reason to come after Tiffany. He admits that he could have played it safe and he's taken a wild swing, but it's clear that he just wants to be a hero. He just wants to be a hero. He know that he really didn't lead no charge against no motherfucking Donna. That's what it is, if you ask me. He didn't lead no charge against no motherfucking Donna. He knew it was Natalie, and he knew that it was Candace that was leading the charge. And so he wants to try to lead something so he could be seen as like this hero or this great player. So Tiffany accuses Ron again, and Ron says that she's all over the place. And she is. Mara says, well, Ron, you're all over the place because you said my name. And Ron admitted it. You know, he said that he heard light steps when he was tied to the tree. And Mara says, you're a liar. You done the same thing to Portia. And don't come for me. Now, what's funny to us is almost like we're watching a social experiment. And I love it. What's funny is that he's not actually lying. There were light steps. He just has the wrong person. And I feel like really the vote should be really based off the 4 people who escaped the murder the night before, right? They are the ones who actually had an experience with the traitors. But no one went to them and asked them really what they think or what they thought. Who did they think that it was? They are just following this Hail Mary from Colton. Now, we did see Ron and Eric talk, but they wasn't really talking to each other, trying to put notes together. And I feel like that Ron and Eric should have got together with Kristen and Lisa Rinna, maybe, right? Lisa Rinna could have swayed the vote, but again, at least we could have seen them together trying to put their experiences together because they're the only ones who can really try to pinpoint who they think a traitor is. And nobody else really have any experience with the traitors. So I just think that it's crazy that everybody wants to follow this Hail Mary from Colton just because Colton said so.
Make it make sense.
I just think that's crazy. You know? Like, there's no way I would have been there. But Colton did not come. There was not enough that Colton said to me for me to be trying to follow what Colton had to say. So Eric, he said that, you know, the night before, he gave a plea to the traitors and someone laughed. And he's 99% sure that the laugh was Tiffany. Okay? He went on to say, I'm a musician. I obsess over one song for 40 mixes. And it really cemented it for me. And so Tiffany said, you might need another career just for why you here.
Attending a birthday party.
Listen, I promise to God I'm not Monday night quarterbacking. When I was watching the first 3 episodes, there was times throughout the episode where I would hear Tiffany say something and I would say, well, why is Candace talking like that? You get what I'm saying? And I would look up and it would be Tiffany. So I definitely understand why Eric thinks that. However, I feel like Eric heard a Black woman's voice and he didn't want to say that because it sounds racist, or some people would take it as racist. But he didn't know for sure whose voice it was, right? But because Colton had suspicion on Tiffany, he tried to ride with him. He tried to ride with the white man who had suspicions of Tiffany.
Yup.
Instead of going with what he heard with Ron. Again, Ron was another person who experienced the traitors with him or just like him along with Kristen. But y'all over here riding with Colton.
You're looking stupid.
If he would have gotten with Ron, they could have nailed Candace's ass, right? with the light steps and the black woman's voice, we could have went to Candace. Or we still could have came up with Tiffany, right? But again, at least let it be from what Ron and Eric is saying, because they actually experienced it instead of Colton just having a Hail Mary. And my thing is, Candace, why are you out there laughing? Girl, we got $250,000 we need to get. We need to stop asking Dorothy for money.
That's wrong.
Tiffany said I shouldn't be taking this personal, but I am. I genuinely need this money, okay? Candace says that she feels torn. You know what I'm saying? She says that she feels like they're doing the same thing that they did with Portia. And she said that she doesn't want them to make another mistake. She tells Ron, you've been on my list since Donna. She went home as a traitor, and they put a huge spotlight on you, and I can't shake it. That's what she said, okay? You know, Donna was his good girlfriend. Now, keep in mind, Candace is only picking Ron because he was close to Donna. She knows that he's not a traitor because she's a traitor, but that's the only thing that she can go off of to, you know, put her suspicions on somebody else. And I think that Candace is actually playing a smart game, you know, because she has her eyes on Ron, or by just voting for Ron, she can say, oh, I consistently voted for him. I'm not voting for anybody else, and she's not picking on anybody else. So she's not making her votes obvious for anybody else. Nobody is suspicious of her because she's been on the same person since day one. She's been on that Donna train, and now since Donna's out the house, she's going for Ron. So Tiffany started crying, and Ron started saying he knows how bad it looks when you make a mistake and everyone thinks you're guilty. And then I started crying.
Are you okay?
I started crying, okay, because I know what that is like. Again, we're watching a show that this happens in real life, okay? And so he tells Candace, I understand you being upset about your friend. Now either exonerate me or send me home.
Oh, what?
And so they started talking about him trying to push a sympathy narrative. And again, I didn't see that. I just see Ron being treated as an outcast because he made a mistake. And I think the group sees him by himself and think that he's trying to pull a sympathy narrative, because I feel like they kind of feel bad that he's by himself, but he really didn't do nothing but make a mistake. He picked the wrong person. He picked the wrong person. And he was just playing the game. Okay? So he tells them, because he was actually talking to Dorinda, because Dorinda is the one who said it. And he said, I've never been the person to beg for approval. I go where I'm wanted. I go where I'm loved. And I don't chase anything. Basically, y'all said, fuck me. I'm good. When y'all try to talk to me, I'll talk. But I'm not about to be running around here because I made a mistake begging y'all to motherfucking talk to me.
You got me fucked up.
Okay? So it's time to vote. Colton said that he voted for Tiffany. He thinks that she's smarter than him. And if he's wrong, he'll wet a pie on his face. And she said, you sure will, baby. You and Eric. And Eric just put his head down. Okay? So they took the votes. Ron had 2 votes. Tiffany had 15 votes. And Jam Jam had 3 votes. Now, I really wonder how the votes would have went without Eric saying that he heard Tiffany laugh. Because I get that a person called you out, right? What I don't get is, does a person pleading their case really matter? Or is Tiffany just guilty because Colton says so? I really want to know how the votes would have went before Eric put his 2 cents in, okay? So Tiffany is officially banished. She gets up and she basically, what she said was, I'm proud of the way I played this game. You all should be proud too, because you have proved that you get what you deserve. And you all don't deserve me because I'm a faithful.
Look how she ate that.
And she turned around and she left. Eric is apologetic. Candace says, well, if you heard it, I believe you heard what you thought that you heard. No, ma'am, Candace. No, ma'am. I think that Candace is saying that because she was a person that was hurt. But I feel, to me, and maybe as a viewer, I feel like that you're looking guilty because Michael Rappaport was straight up and said, well, obviously he didn't hear shit.
Like what?
Boom.
Like,
That's the reason why.
And he said, look, there are some ringleaders in here. And so Colton said, well, that's how we push each other and find information. So it's okay for Colton to come up with big swings and get someone banished with no facts whatsoever. He was taking big swings the same way Tiffany was taking big swings. But everybody ran with what Colton had to say. Well, I can't say that because Eric helped him. But the thing is, he was taking big swings just like Tiffany was taking big swings. He said that Tiffany didn't have no facts and he didn't either. She was just thinking steps ahead. Now, should she have focused on one person? Yes, but they were both taking big swings. So I don't know why she was seen as a villain or voted out and Colton wasn't. Colton had no facts. None. Okay? So Colton is in the kitchen and he feels like shit as he should. And Dorinda basically tell him it's okay. He didn't sway her vote. Eric did.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So who are we treating like a pariah in the house now? Who? Pick one. Pick one. Who are we treating in the house like a pariah now out of Eric and Colton? Because when Ron was wrong, nobody told him it was okay. He's still wearing the fucking scarlet letter. He still is the pariah in the house. Nobody told him it was okay. Nobody fucks with him. It seems like when Ron even tried to come and walk in the room, they have to tell him, hey, yeah, you can come in here and sit down. Like nobody wants to be around him. Michael is talking to Kristen and he tells her that he feels like one of the hunks is a traitor. And he's talking about Colton, Steven, and Rob. Okay? So the traitors meet in the turret, and Rob says that Tiffany was the best person to vote out.
What? What?
How? She picked 3 people and they all were wrong. I think that Tiffany was the perfect person to keep in the house because she was not going to let up off of Ron, she was not going to let up off of Michael, and she was not going to let up off of Jam. Right? And it's again that shit with Rob, you have to watch these biases that people have because earlier in the episode, when Colton had told his plan, he actually told his plan to Ron, and he said, I think that Colton is a smart player, but he's wrong, right? So basically, let's keep him around. And so Tiffany was a smart player, and she was wrong as well. But we're not going to keep her around. Like, I just think it's just crazy to me how the bias is shown. I'm telling you, this is more like a social experience. So they talk about who they're going to vote out. And Lisa tells Candace, didn't Monet say my name? And Candace says yes, but she doesn't think that he told anyone else. And so Rob says we need Monet for the missions. And Lisa was looking like, bitch, please. Bitch, please. Monet won't live another day in this house. Monet won't wake up. Monet won't eat another motherfucking bite of salmon or a motherfucking butter roll in this motherfucking house. He won't eat a Pillsbury biscuit in this house. Okay? And, that was the episode. Let me know in the comments, do y'all look at this just like a game or do y'all see this almost as like a social experiment? I see this game almost like a social experiment. And I'm loving the show. I don't want to watch this show and it be so heavy, but we would not be being honest with this show if we didn't talk about the biases that some people have against other people in the house. Again, nobody told Ron it was okay when he fucked up the vote with Portia. But now people are telling Colton, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. Colton is not even worried about people coming for him. He's looking for another person to try to take down and get people to rally against him with.
Yes, baby.
Okay, but that was the episode. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'm really enjoying the show though. I just feel like that I'm getting triggered, and I have to remember that it's a game, but it's a game to a certain extent. Okay, but thank y'all so much for clicking on the video, y'all. I really appreciate the love and support. I will try to have part 5 or episode 5 out soon. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow. It may be, I don't know, because this is a lot. Okay, because I got to edit the video and put it out. You know what I'm saying? But thank y'all so much for clicking on the video. Please like the video. Please share the video. Please hype up the video. Do all that good stuff, y'all. I thank you all so much for clicking on the video. I really appreciate Really appreciate the love and support. And I will see y'all later. Adios.